Good evening, Bahamas. This is NB12 broadcasting from Cable 12 Studios on Robinson Road. In news tonight, the Prime Minister holds his last cabinet meeting before the general election. Our cameras were there. The Minister of Tourism responds to his reported clash with senior staff and allegations by the opposition. The F&M, PLP, and DNA holding rallies last night. Gruesome injuries in an accident at LPIA today. Plus, BEC gets more power for the summer months. Those stories and so much more on the way, and the Kia DeVoe and NB12 starts right now. NB12. In less than 2 hours today, the Prime Minister and members of his cabinet approved two multi-million-dollar developments, a contract for the installation of a water main in Long Island, a $2 million education initiative, and the purchase of 5 state-of-the-art fire trucks. This all occurred during their final meeting at the Churchill Building. Our Vanig Toot was there and has this report.
Reporters have interviewed Prime Minister Hubert Ingraham and members of his cabinet on these steps outside of Cabinet Office on numerous occasions over the past 5 years. However, today we got the rare opportunity to sit in briefly on the last cabinet meeting this government will hold before the upcoming general election. There, Prime Minister Ingraham revealed that his government has approved a number of multi-million-dollar contracts expected to benefit Bahamians throughout this country. Tourism Minister Vincent Vanderpool Wallace says government has approved a development at Cotton Bay in Eleuthera with an internationally recognized operator. The price tag, $80 million.
It's also will assist in establishing Eleuthera on the tourism map, because what we recognize for a long time that some of these brands and these developments bring a lot of focus to the individual islands, which is part of the government's continuing campaign. Talking about the individual islands of the Bahamas, and this will add immensely to that thrust.
It's going to be 80 rooms and a private residential subdivision, 40 lots. It'll be the reconstruction of the golf course, the construction of a spa, restaurants and bar, commercial shopping area, usual recreational facilities for an upscale development.
Mr. Ingraham says Dr. Sarmiento is a Colombian who is very wealthy and trusted. During today's 2-hour cabinet meeting, the government also approved a development at Norman's Key. The Prime Minister says the government has made available a significant portion of land previously owned by Joe Leader to construct a $30 million development. He says he is particularly excited about this development because that area was once considered to be a drug haven in the 1980s.
It'll be the third drug island or property that was very prominent in the Commission of Inquiry in the 1980s while the PLP was in office, that the F&M has now caused to be put to productive, economic, lawful, legal, legitimate use.
The developers propose to put some 3 very well-known, internationally recognized boutique properties there, very small. Also, to make sure that there is appropriate air service into that area, they have agreed that a part of the development will be the upgrade of the airport.
That investment is being funded by a large Turkish group. That's not all the government approved this morning. Agriculture Minister Larry Cartwright says Cabinet also agreed to award a contract to a Long Island-based company for the extension of the water mains from Grays to Thompson Bay in Long Island. It's expected to benefit residents of Salt Pond and Thompson Bay, where there is currently no running water provided by Water and Sewerage. That contract will be for $1.2 million. An additional $400,000 will be spent on a storage tank. In education, Minister Desmond Bannister says they have approved a more than $2 million initiative that will impact students throughout this country. The government will invest in over 800 desktop computers, more than 300 laptop computers, educational software, interactive whiteboards, and multimedia projectors. Then there's the approval of a contract to purchase 5 additional fire trucks for the Royal Bahamas Police Force, 3 for New Providence and 2 for Grand Bahama. The price, $1.28 million. The Prime Minister was asked what would happen to these developments and contracts if the F&M government loses the upcoming election.
No government can bind another government. That's the first thing. And so governments ought to take that into account when they make decisions. A government that comes to office has the opportunity to determine whether or not it considers a matter to be in the best interest of the country, or whether it's a matter that it's a priority for them. And so there's nothing that you can do or put in place to prevent it. Like I heard the leader of the opposition make a stupid statement the other day that he will pass a law that says a government cannot enter the contracts or hire people during the course of an election campaign. But the next government don't like it, they just change the law. No big deal.
He says they are undertaking projects which they consider to be in the best interest of the Bahamas.
And the next government of the Bahamas, which we hope will be ourselves, will carry on. If it's not ourselves, then they will determine what they want to do. But we are confident we will be the government next week. This is a hypothetical we're engaged in right now. The public of the Bahamas has given us every confidence that they're going to re-elect us next week by a landslide.
Every cabinet minister except Byron Woodside wore a red tie today. The only 2 ministers missing from the final meeting were Minister of State for the Environment Fenton Nemore and Attorney General John Delaney. Prime Minister Ingram says, God willing, he and members of his team will be meeting weekly once again in this building after May 7th. Reporting for MB12, I'm Juanique Tude.
Vanderpool Wallace and the Prime Minister today dismissing claims that a dispute over a $1.6 million marketing contract has led to a rift between Vanderpool Wallace and senior members of his staff. Yesterday, in a press statement, the Progressive Liberal Party questioned why Vanderpool Wallace fought members of his team who insisted that he cancel a contract with a foreign firm, which many felt were not carrying out the terms of their agreement. Vanderpool Wallace had allegedly recommended the ministry hire the company, but wanted to give that company a hearing before terminating that very lucrative 2-year deal. He apparently dug his heels in even after a foreign law firm suggested the ministry had good grounds to rescind the deal. Vanderpool Wallace says over the past 5 years, he thought that he was a small fry. However, he says he must have upset someone, and now they're trying to stir things up right before an election. He says there's no rift between him and Tourism's Director General, David Johnson.
We have a wonderful relationship. We talk directly in terms of some of the things that we want to fix and we want to do better on behalf of Bahamian people, and we continue to do so.
But did you say at all that you felt like he was ineffective? And that he may have had a vendetta against those marketing firms?
I do not recall any specific comment as such, but frankly, Mr. Johnson and I have always had a wonderful working relationship, trying to do the best we can on behalf of the Bahamian people, and we continue to do so until the end of my time. So thank you very much.
And the money to TMA and DS, do you think it was well spent, and is Tom Crockett still engaged with the Ministry of Tourism?
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Meantime, Prime Minister Ingram says the PLP should be the last party to talk about scandals.
You know, I find it curious that a reporter would come to see me this morning and would not go and see Mr. Perry Christie about the Earl peddling that he has been engaged in as a consultant for the Earl Company. The PLP are not qualified to talk to me about the question of corruption and scandal. They have no credibility on the issue whatsoever. They've been telling lies all during this campaign, from Mr. Christie announcing that his wife was spat upon, to lies about F&M attacking their people. They wait for the last minute to come along. They've never come back and told us about Harachi, where they promised us that they were going to do a forensic audit of it. The Anna Nicole Smith, etc. They're not qualified. I'm not going to waste my time talking about them.
Well, with only 2 days left until the next general election, political parties are making their last-ditch efforts to woo voters. Thousands of Free National Movement supporters gathered on R. M. Bailey Park last night as Prime Minister and FNM leader Hubert Ingraham told the country that a red sea of support is sweeping across the Bahamas, while scandal has followed his opponents. Christina McNeil reports.
After touring 4 islands in one day, Prime Minister Hubert Ingraham told supporters Thursday night that victory is in sight. This as he encouraged FNM supporters to look toward the critical issues in the days leading up to the general election.
Ingraham says out of office, the Progressive Liberal Party is faced with what may become one of the biggest scandals in Bahamian history, one he says may put the livelihood of every Bahamian at risk. PLP leader Perry Christie recently announced he has instructed his attorneys to take legal action against those responsible for the FNM's television ad tying Christie to oil drilling in the Bahamas. Last night, Ingraham challenged Christie to pursue his lawsuit against the FNM.
I want to invite Perry Christie. Sue the FNM. We would like to meet you in court. We would like to get you to understand. Put your hand on that Bible. Take that oath and answer some questions we got for you. Sue us, you bad. Go ahead.
Christie confirmed to the Nassau Guardian that Bahamas Petroleum Company was benefiting from advice he was providing as a consultant for Davis & Co. law firm, which represents BPC. Christie, however, backtracked a week later, claiming he no longer works as a consultant for the firm. Last night, the Prime Minister reminded voters of this.
Have you heard Perry Christie's merry-go-round statements on his work for Foreign Oil Company? They go something like this. I was a consultant to, but not necessarily a consultant for, a company for which I consulted, for which I no longer consult at this time. Though I haven't consulted for them in the past, I was a consultant.
Don't do it.
He really think he's slick.
Don't do it.
He really think he's slick. Only problem is he keeps getting caught and Earl slick.
The other critical point Ingraham says voters must pay attention to is that of leadership. He says important things don't get done without leadership. The PM says while he has proven himself as a leader in both good and bad times, it seems that PLPs don't have confidence in their leader during the election campaign. This as Ingraham also attacked the PLP's Charter for Governance, claiming the document was not only late but based on FNM ideas and vision.
Throughout this campaign, our opponents have ducked the critical issue of leadership, just like they ducked 5 years of governance from 2002 to 2007. It still amazes me as I travel to Family Islands that Christie Post is hardly to be seen. When he does show up on the Family Islands, he's following me around. I encourage everybody to get a copy of their platform, though. It's one of the biggest copycat jobs I've ever seen. Wholesale and shameless borrowing from our manifesto. But the sad thing is they didn't even copy well. Their platform is like those counterfeit movies, where the sound and the picture are smudgy. The document is terribly written. It makes not a rhyme or rhythm of sense the way everything is jumbled up.
Heading into the home stretch, Ingraham encouraged voters to believe in his delivery team and what he called the Party of Opportunity.
Ingraham has promised supporters the biggest rally ever in Bahamian history on Saturday night. That's when the FNM will return to Clifford Park for the last mass rally before the general election. Reporting for NB12, I'm Christina McNeil.
Meantime, PLP leader Perry Christie took his message once again to supporters in Grand Bahama last night in the final stretch of the 2012 general election campaign. Christie said he believes the PLP is out in front in New Providence after Tuesday's advanced poll and added that the results in Grand Bahama were even better. Christie spent most of his speech accusing the FNM of neglecting Grand Bahama. He told supporters that a PLP government would do much to improve the depressed state of the economy on that island. He said the PLP would establish a ministry for Grand Bahama to ensure the economy gets special focus. Duty-free concessions under the Family Island Development Act would also be extended to East and West Grand Bahama, Christie said. These are all promises that the party has pledged before, and they're all included in its Vision 2030, a charter for good governance. Well, the Democratic National Alliance was in Bamboo Town for its Rally for Change last night. DNA leader Branville McCartney thanked all the voters who supported the party on Tuesday during the advanced poll. He said that he was pleased and impressed with the turnout. He also praised DNA supporters for being peaceful and respectful of others on that day, and took a hit at FNM and PLP supporters for their reported behavior.
We were the quiet ones. We were not the rowdy ones. We were not spitting on people. We were not cursing people. We were respectful, and we intend to do the same thing on election day. We will respect each other's political persuasion. We will respect those who have been there. And I'm counting on you to be respectful. Don't mind them other people, you know. We can lead the way and do the right thing for the Bahamas.
McCartney said that he is confident Bamboo Town will stick with him and sent a message to the Prime Minister that the constituency does not belong to the FNM or the PLP. He told supporters that a vote for the DNA is a vote for change, and he encouraged Bahamians to mark their X next to the DNA candidates in their constituencies on Monday.